Hi, welcome to Ladies of Another View on Back. And today I am joined by Andrea, Carmen, and Deb Schweitzer, all the way from Dickinson.
Thank you.
And today is going to be an inspirational show. Sometimes we do the hard stuff, and some days we're just pure inspiration. Today is one of those days. So we can all breathe a nice sigh of relief and relax. Nothing tough today. The reason I have Deb on is we bumped into each other. We've known each other for a few years. And she has done foster care for 33 years. Thank you for doing that.
Well, I have to say this, to God be the glory. Todd and I, my husband Todd is an insurance agent, I'm a nurse, and we started, as you say, 33 years ago being foster parents. And it happened because I was working at the hospital, and one of the nurses there was a foster mom. Her name is Henrietta Nissler. She's not alive anymore, but she was taking a baby home, and I said, "You're taking a baby home?" And she said, "Well, we're foster parents." And so she told me about it. And my husband and I had both come from families that were very generous, opening their homes to other people. And my dad was a janitor at a high school. And I still remember one night he brought a boy home that he found sleeping on the stage. His parents had kicked him out. Aww. And my dad talked to the school, and he ended up staying with us for a few, till he graduated. And that kind of sparked more kids. We had a few children that came and stayed with us. So when this opportunity came up for Todd and I, we prayed about it, and we really knew we were called to do this. Being a nurse and being an insurance agent, we just said, we have more than we need, so we can share. And it has been a fun journey, really has.
I know Todd came from a family of 10 children,
yes,
right? How many children were you in your
I
home?
was the youngest of 4.
Okay.
But I honestly, another long story, my mom was second oldest of 16, and when her mom died, she had a little baby sister. So my parents were farming over the hill, and they helped raise her 5 youngest siblings. So for a long time, they were more like siblings and aunts and uncles. So I think back then we saw communities where families were raising and helping families, which is the idyllic way to raise children, And I think as services, we're trying to get back to that type of an image, more of, I heard this thing and I really like it. Foster care isn't about finding children to put into a family, but finding families for these children. Finding what fits the child's needs. I think there's a period in foster care where kids were just put wherever. And now I really, really believe that there's a big push more toward looking towards the needs of the children. Am I talking too much? Just yell.
No.
My kids say, do it all the time.
We're really good at interrupting, so we can handle this.
But when we hit 30 years, Todd and I said, this is a good mark. We're not young. Let's be done. And before our license even expired, we had a phone call from a social worker, and she said, Deb, we really need you to take this baby. He had shaken baby syndrome and some severe neurological issues and some things that they just really wanted some special attention. And so we took him in, and my husband he's the night guy, I'm the day guy. So I coordinate, take care of all the day stuff, but when I go to bed, I go to bed. I don't wake up, and not always, but he bonded with this baby in such a special way, and we did with his family, because we helped his family do what they needed to do to get him back. So he is living with grandparents now, and
so our audience knows you have 6 kids, 2 of them adopted, and you adopted them through foster care, is that correct?
Through foster care, through a program called ASK, AASK, Adults Adopting Special Kids. What that means is children who are in foster care for an extended period, maybe are 3 years or older, or come from a sibling group, often are more difficult to adopt. Everybody thinks I want to adopt a baby. And so this program is there to help people adopt. I don't think people realize it. I mean, we did not go into foster care thinking we're going to adopt children, but we had these children who their families were just too ill to take care of them. We try really hard. We like to meet the parents. Sometimes it's not safe, but if we can, we'd like to meet them and just say, we're not here to take your child away. We're here to take care of them until you get better. And with these children, their parents just couldn't get better. But anyway, getting back to ASK. So I don't know if this is a good time to talk about it, but there is a program called the Heart Gallery. That's in every state, and that is administered somehow through Ask. I'm not real knowledgeable on how that program works exactly, but I know it's there.
We are going to talk about that
Okay.
because I'm going to give the website. When you told me about this website,
Did you go on it?
yes, I did, but I wanted to adopt everybody.
Yeah.
And we have 10 kids and we have adopted 2, but there's a point where I just felt like this isn't that time for us. But I felt bad that it isn't that time for us because of all these children out there. And I wanted to do this show, and we're going to get into it a little bit more in the next segment, but I wanted to get into this so that if anybody is maybe considering it, or if their heart is open a little bit, to realize whatever little inconvenience it might be for us, think about those children, right?
Right. It's about them. You know, sometimes people will come up to us and they'll say, oh, we just couldn't do that. I mean, I would get too attached. And I think, well, do you think I'm like not a nice person that I don't get attached? And I always try to say, you know, you should get attached. Your heart should break, because if you're doing it for the right reasons, you're giving love. It's not about me, it's about them. I always wondered as our children grew up, because when we started, our children were 2 and 4, the first 2. Our first foster child came to live with us. And I wondered, was that detrimental to them? Was it a good thing? But as I look at them, my daughter and her husband are foster parents. My son and his wife want to become foster parents. So I know it was a good thing, you know, and we have so many stories how over time, we lost count at 150 children.
Oh, that was my next question.
Yeah.
How
Oh my
many
gosh.
children
Yeah.
have you had?
I have no clue. Our daughter
Oh.
Jenny was keeping track, and we had a house fire 20 years ago, and we had like a little book with each kid's picture and their name, and we lost that in the fire. So I don't even, and I think about that, it was okay to lose that because it wasn't about how many kids we had. It was about what happened for them. But one day I was in Walmart, and my daughter that we adopted, Faith, is 16 now. She's going to be 17 next week. God help me. Anyway, she's amazing, but she's a teenage girl. But we were walking through the store, and she said, Mom, that lady is following us, you know. And so we kept walking like down weird aisles, and she's like, she's following us. And so I kind of stopped and waited, and she came up to us, and she said, are you Deb Schweitzer? I said, yeah, and she said her name. She said, I want to thank you. I get choked up every time I tell the story. She said, you had my grandson in foster care years ago, and you helped his mom not give him up for adoption, and he was the only child my son had, and my son was killed in a car accident 2 months ago. And I think of that story all the time, and I went back, I asked the name of the child, and I remembered that it was a young college mom. She was giving the baby up for adoption, and at a visitation one day, she said, Mrs. Schweitzer, can I come over and rock him tonight? And I said, of course you can. We had open visitation, so she came over that night and rocked him. And then she said, can I come tomorrow? I said, of course. She said, will you teach me how to, or I said, I was going to give him a badge. She said, can I help you? And this began a little process of her spending time with him, learning how to take care of him. And in the end, she changed her mind and kept the baby. She was 20 years old, and that was the child.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's like, talk about being meant to be.
Oh, I have goosebumps.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she sees you in the Walmart store, and you hear
grandma.
the rest of the story. We're going to hear the rest of the story in the next segment, right after these messages, with Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Respect, innovation, trust, and excellence. These core values can be seen in every building built by Straightway Construction. In the community for over 15 years, Straightway Construction has become the premier construction company for commercial projects. From dirt to design and framing to finish, Straightway Construction is your #1 choice. You won't have to look far to find a project that has that Straightway touch. Call them today or go online to straightwayconstruction.com and let them make your vision a reality.
Calling all farmers. Join us Friday, July 16th for Farmers Night at the Bismarck Bucks. The Bucks take on the Frisco Fighters with a 6:05 p.m. kickoff, and we'll highlight our friends at Farm Rescue. Please visit bismarckbucks.com.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county. Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
I'm Rick Becker from No Apologies. Welcome to your after hours oasis of sanity. How can these people not see that they're just clowns?
We help simplify and educate you on things going on in the legislature and around the country.
Asking the hard-hitting questions.
But also having Lee Stack and Sid and Marty Croft stuff, and we've talked about that sometimes. It's bad.
Watch us weeknights at 9 Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
Pub 21, your one stop for fun, drinks, and food. Our spacious facility provides COVID-safe fun for you and all your friends. With nightly bingo and specials, you can be sure there's something to do for everyone. If you're staying in for the night, we've got you covered just across the way with Pub 21 Liquor. We have a wide variety of options, from wine to whiskey and everything in between. Stop in today at 1014 South 12th Street in Bismarck to see what all the buzz is about. You won't be disappointed.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck, and we are once again joined by Deb Schweitzer, who has been a foster parent, you and Todd, your husband, 33 years.
Mm-hmm.
God bless you.
Yes.
And we have a lot of questions for you, but just very quickly, I want to show a few pictures of your family.
Oh, I would love that.
There's your husband, and there's
Isn't
a
he
Schweitzer,
handsome?
if ever I've seen one. They all look alike, don't they?
They do.
All
He is
nice
the
looking.
oldest. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And here was a recent wedding?
This is our last wedding, our son and his wife. Yeah, and they have one child and one on the way, and they're not even married 2 years, so they're enjoying.
And this is your family, right?
Yeah.
Not extended, just your
just our immediate plus.
immediate family.
Let's see, one's missing, so one more.
And spouses.
Yep.
Okay, and I wanted to include these two. Look at this.
Oh, yep. So we had gotten Ty when he was a baby. He had been abandoned at daycare, not picked up, and his parents were struggling with addictions. And we befriended Mom, tried to help her, but she was too struggling with addiction. And so our goal is to keep these kids, to keep Ty healthy, help him to feel good about himself, grow up, and if at some point he wants to reconnect, he can. He does have a birth sister adopted in another home, and they visit on a regular basis and call each other all the time. She is 14, he is 11. And we adopted them through PATH, through the ASK program that we talked about earlier.
And then you have one more picture I think we have of another adoption.
Oh, that's Faith. That's my beautiful 16-year-old who will be 17 next week. That's on her adoption day. Yep. Yep, she had a really, and I think she would be okay with me telling this story because we've told it before, but she was in foster care. We got her from another foster home because they were struggling with her behaviors. She just needed guidance. One of the first things we do is hug them, love them, feed them, and she needed that. But anyway, she had other sisters, and they were all sent to her relatives. And we had her for a year and a half. Then that happened, and after 9 months, they called and said, "We don't want her. She's a pain." And they just didn't. They weren't worthy of her. I shouldn't even be talking about this, but we love her so much, and she just fits right in. I mean, people always say, "Oh, you look just like your older sister," and it's funny how that happens. Kind of like married people look like each other,
right?
So my husband's handsome, so I'm hoping that's good for me.
Such a
Anyway,
beautiful
but
girl.
she is. We adopted both of them.
I want to give viewers this website because you just told me about it. I didn't know, but you can actually go to heartgalleryofamerica.org. It's at the bottom of the screen. Take your phone out, take a picture if you can't remember it. heartgalleryofamerica.org. And you can actually see which children are up for adoption. Yeah.
Yeah, and every state has a heart gallery. So you could, when you go in there, you can pick a state, and it shows you all of the children waiting to be adopted. One thing I don't think people realize is, so when we adopted children, and if you go to Heart Gallery, it costs nothing. There are no fees. No, you have to pay the initial, background checks and stuff, but it's all reimbursed. These children, if you choose, are eligible to get a stipend every month until they're a certain age that you can, put it in savings, use it for prom dresses, whatever the heck, comes up big. So people who say I can't afford it, that's wrong. It's there for the children, and it's assessed every year. Do they need it? Is it something that would be helpful? There are tons of college scholarships out there available to children who were in foster care. But go to the Heart Gallery. It will show you pictures of children waiting to be adopted through this ASK program. As I said, there may be a sibling group. If you're not interested in the whole sibling group, you may be asked to maintain contact like we did. We couldn't adopt both of them. Our son's sister had just too many needs, psychological needs that we couldn't deal with in our home. It wasn't, you got to take care of your own family first. And at that point, it just didn't work. It was really hard for our own family and children dynamic. But some of the states, I was telling Patty when we were in Hawaii on vacation, their Heart Gallery actually had commercials. And so if you go to the Heart Gallery, it'll be like a picture of, hi, my name is Patty. My favorite color is orange. And when I grow up, I want to be a Beck announcer, whatever. And then
you're really personalizing this, Deb.
Oh, I know, but it really is. It gets at your heart that much.
Yes.
And the next one tells you her story, what happened to her. And you read that. I remember one time my son was reading it, and he was probably 13, Luke, and he came out and he said, I'm going to get choked up. He said, we have to adopt all of them. I mean, like you said, when you go, your heart will be torn. It really will, and so people who are looking to share their heart, maybe you've never thought about adopting, maybe you've never thought about bringing children into your home, everybody can do it. Everybody, they just want love. They want family. So when I talk about finding family for children, that's what it's about. I'm telling you to go look like, it's really not about finding a child for you, but the dynamic has to work. I mean, it has to. And so what you do in that process is you become a foster parent, and then they come visit you, because you have to be safe. And so you got to go through the process of being a foster parent first.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so say you think, well, I might do foster care, I'm not sure about adoption. Mm-hmm. Where do you start as far as foster care? Where do you go?
Call your local human service agency. It used to be, they changed the name. It used to be, the county, and then now it's a zone. But if you call your local human service center, they will tell you what you need to do to become a foster parent. There's a process. You need to be safe people. You need to be screened. But it's not that hard. And I always tell people, if you're not sure, get licensed and do respite for me. Because if Todd and I want to go out for dinner one night, and if our daughter is not available, we have to pay a babysitter, and it could be pretty expensive. And you don't do this to make money. You don't do this for whatever, but it can be, if adding 2 more kids to a family or 4 more kids can get expensive. I have this dream in my head, and this probably isn't the place to talk about it, but of developing some type of a program where if I get a foster child, I call the church office or the agency office, and they call Patty and they say, can you take dinner over to Schweitzer's for the next day? Because it's hard. You bring this child in, and I want to focus my attention on getting them comfortable, not cooking or whatever, or maybe having some high school girls who would volunteer to babysit. I mean, everybody can do something.
Right, right. Well, and when it's a new child like that, I'm guessing, even if they're, not an infant, it's like bringing a new baby home as far as settling in and what's going to be the routine and all the things, right?
And figuring them out and letting them figure you out so that they're safe. Right. That's the most important, that they feel loved, that they belong.
Right. And part of being a foster parent is that you go through training.
Yep.
My husband and I did do foster parenting for a while, and they put you through training so that you are prepared. And it's very enjoyable going through training because you're learning a lot, you're meeting other families, and you're wrapping your head around what you might be doing. And so it's excellent, any kind of foster parent training.
We're better people for it. I definitely am a better person because of it.
Yeah.
And so do you start out with the foster parent thing, and then you say, okay, we really are attached to this child. We want to adopt. Do they have to be a possible adoption when you start that process in order for you to think maybe I want to move into adoption with this child, or how does that work?
In 30 seconds.
Yeah, okay, when they go into foster care, the intention is for them to get back to family first, to their birth nuclear family, whatever it might be, grandparents, aunts, uncles. So that's the ultimate goal. If that doesn't work out and there's no family, then you can be considered to adopt. We're there just to support the family and their child, trying to get them back together. But that doesn't always happen. In a perfect world.
And training is important, so you kind of know what the parameters are.
Right.
What are we getting ourselves into? Deb Schweitzer, thank you for coming on today.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just hope that a lot of people will consider going to the heartgalleryofamerica.org. Take a look, or look into foster care, and just take a look. It doesn't cost anything to find out, right?
No, it does not. Or if you know a foster family, take them dinner. Not us, but take them dinner.
Yes.
Or just, I don't know. Sometimes you don't realize
be a support in that way. We'll be right back after these messages. We're going to talk about a life-saving story that you're not going to want to miss. We'll be right back after these messages with Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
Go for Launch 2018 series winner. Without further ado, it is my honors. Regina. The winning team is the Flumin River Excellent.
Oh my God!
They won!
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned. I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow, and to thank you for your support, I'm gonna pass the savings directly on to you. For example, you get my 6-piece towel sets, regular $109.99, now only $44.98, or MyPillow dog beds for as low as $19.99 with your promo code.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
Ever been in a cave before?
It's our first time.
All right.
Where are you going?
I'll see you at the car!
How will we?
The car! Your offer's been accepted. Ever bought a house before?
It's our first time.
All right.
Where are you going?
I'll see you at the closing.
But how will we?
The closing!
Hey everybody, I'm Doug Billings, your host of The Right Side with Doug Billings on Beck News. We bring you high-profile guests, ladies and gentlemen, exclusive guests. Now, you're not going to see these guests in most of the mainstream media outlets. Another thing that I do here is give guests a platform to speak freely. You're not going to see me censor anybody. Please join us, won't you? Weeknights right here on Beck TV and online at beck.news. Cheers.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck. And we are going to be visiting with Ben Hylden, and he comes all the way via Zoom from Park River, North Dakota. Welcome to the show, Ben.
Thank you guys for having me.
Hi, Ben.
Hello.
Before we start talking with Ben, I want everybody to know that he has an amazing story that he has written about in a book and talks about. So let's take a look and then we'll talk about it.
A near-death experience.
I remember being on the living room floor on my knees, screaming no.
Two of us just prayed together out in the field.
Family members left in shock, praying for the best but fearing the worst. 7 years ago, Ben Hylden, at age 16, nearly died. He lost control of his car, crashing into a farm field, ejected through the windshield. An accident that would forever change his life, leading him on a long path of recovery and journey of faith.
I just thought, I'm going to come back. The doubts, people said, Ben, you won't make it back. And just like, wow, well, thank you, because that just fueled me even more. That's when I truly realized, like wholeheartedly, that God, that was what was inside me the entire time from my accident.
I want you to talk a little bit about your accident, and the part I found amazing. You went down a road you didn't normally go down. You were driving too fast. Your parents went down that same road that they don't normally drive down. They found you, but what happened?
Yeah, so I usually went down that road, actually. I went down that road for school, but my parents never did. My parents would never take that road because it was, you know, it was a kind of a dangerous way into town. Yeah, they ended up finding me that day on Good Friday, actually. And in the field, I actually stopped breathing for around 5 to 7 minutes, my mom said. And obviously I came back. And from then on, it's been a journey of miracles, a lot of miracles medically with my health and things like that, and faith and recovery. So it's been a very, very interesting life, to say the least.
One thing that I wanted the viewers to know is your parents did not know it was you, right? Your dad called you sir. He did not know. They didn't know it was their son. They had just found.
Yeah. At the very start, my parents had no clue it was me because my face, I actually went face first into the field. So I mean, I have some scars now. I mean, it's gotten a lot better, but they couldn't recognize me because my face was so swelled from the impact, and my eyes were swelled shut, and I was so full of mud and blood that they couldn't make me out until my mom saw my feet. I have really long, slender feet, and that's when she knew that this was her son laying in front of her.
Do you remember much from those first moments until you got to the hospital?
Yeah, I do now. I had a flashback around a year after my accident, and that flashback helped me remember everything about it, all the pain, how scary it was, laying in the field. My thoughts in my head at that moment, you know, the knowing that I was going to die because I couldn't breathe anymore. I simply couldn't breathe. I was swallowing blood because I had bit through my tongue. And so I was swallowing blood constantly, and I was suffocating. And that all came back around a year after my accident. The doctor said that it may or may not, but it did. And so the last thing I remember is the paramedics taking me into the ambulance, and then them cutting my clothes. And then that's where it stops. And then after that, I remember, waking up out of my coma, and I had to start a whole new life.
When you say a whole new life, your life before the accident, what was your faith life like? Were you, just tell us.
You know, I grew up in a Christian home. I was taught about Jesus Christ. I was taught about the Father and the Bible. I went to Bible camp. I went to youth group. But like in my book, I'll say that I'll compare it to a mustard seed. You know, it was very small. You know, I believed in Jesus Christ. If you were to ask me back then, I would tell you I believe in Jesus Christ. But it was more so like just going through the motions. Just like I went to church, I went to youth group, I went to Bible camp, but it wasn't wholehearted, the way that it should be. It wasn't true the way it is now.
What do you think, what changed for you? What made it like it is now? What was there a moment?
There's been a few moments that are pretty monumental. There was a time I was a senior in high school. I was going to my last year at Bible camp, and that was, I can say, that was the moment that I like felt the Holy Spirit, I guess you would say. That was a moment that I like came to life, and I realized everything that has happened, God has been fueling me, that he's the one that's been motivating me and inspiring me to not give up, to try to come back, to not just give in. And that was the moment that I really, truly, for the first time, wanted to actually live for him and through him. And that was monumental. But overall, I would say that life through trials, not through the good times in life, but through trials, is when I've got to know him the best. I've realized that's a part of life. And when you're down and you're out, that's when God is so I guess real to you, and you know him and you get to know him. And my faith has been molded through my own trials.
And you were not supposed to live. No, the doctors did not think you were going to live, right?
Right. Yeah. I was given a 5% chance or less to live. My injuries were, beyond severe. I had a traumatic brain injury. My brain was bruised and bleeding. I had a very, very severe concussion. My entire face was completely shattered. The roof of my mouth was broken in half. My lungs, pancreas, small intestines, liver were all bruised or bleeding, and the artery in my right leg was crushed. But the part that was going to kill me was my lungs. My lungs during surgery collapsed, and that was kind of the nail in the coffin, where I was definitely supposed to die. I came into the hospital with a very small chance to live because of all of my injuries, but that was when it was like, oh my gosh, in the hospital, I actually did essentially die. I stopped breathing for, I would say, I think the doctor said around like 30 seconds, and I was gone until they finally put in chest tubes, and I came back to life again.
That must be hard to sit and think, oh my gosh, like everything you just told us about, I can't imagine. And so I want to talk about what it was like trying to recover from that, because that alone was just its own ordeal, right? So we'll talk about that when we come back right after these messages with Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Since opening in Hebron in 1940, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been your hometown bank. Our mission has been to provide modern banking convenience with old-fashioned hometown service. We've grown with the communities we serve through year-round events, countless sponsorships, and nearly 7,000 hours of volunteering each year. Learn more about our 80-year history at dakotacommunitybank.com.
Hop in the rig and go down the road with me. We'll cover local and national stories that impact you. Down the Road with Joel Heitkamp weekdays at 5:30 Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
Calling all farmers. Join us Friday, July 16th for Farmers Night at the Bismarck Bucks. The Bucks take on the Frisco Fighters with a 6:05 p.m. kickoff, and we'll highlight our friends at Farm Rescue. Please visit bismarckbucks.com.
Respect, innovation, trust, and excellence. These core values can be seen in every building built by Straightway Construction. In the community for over 15 years, Straightway Construction has become the premier construction company for commercial projects. From dirt to design and framing to finish, Straightway Construction is your #1 choice. You won't have to look far to find a project that has that Straightway touch. Call them today or go online to straightwayconstruction.com and let them make your vision a reality.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned. I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow, and to thank you for your support, I'm gonna pass the savings directly on to you. Go to MyPillow.com right now to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. For example, you can get my premium MyPillows, regularly $69.98, now just $29.98, the lowest price ever.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck, and we are once again joined by Ben Hylden. He is the author of Finding Faith in the Field, and he made an amazing recovery. He wasn't expected to live. His car flipped over and totally changed his life. How many years ago did this happen, Ben?
I think 13 now, I believe.
13 years ago.
Yeah.
You haven't been the same since.
No.
In the last segment, I can't believe, just listening to your list of everything that was wrong with you, everything that had happened, I can't imagine, like, being in that body that was so damaged and broken, and the recovery that you made. And I want to hear about, the strength that you gained, and that it just wasn't a walk in the park. But if you had it to do over again, would you go through it all again to get to where you are today?
100%. I don't say that because it sounds good. I say that because honestly I would, because yeah, I mean, I've been through a lot of hard times, a lot of times that I've been trialing, and honestly there have been times where I've thought about, should I, end my own life? But along the way, I have got to know God and Christ so much, where I would never trade that for anything ever, because I feel eternal life inside my soul now. I mean, I never felt that before until going on this journey that, yeah, there's a lot of pain, and there still is some pain, but at the same time, he's never, ever left me, no matter what. And getting to know him is something that I would never trade for anything in the world. That's for sure.
So through your recovery, even physically, all the things that you had to do, are you back to what you would consider 100% as far as all the broken pieces that had to be back? Like walking, all the,
Yeah. I mean, if you were to look at me and you saw me, you'd say, oh, he's completely normal. There are a few things that I deal with from my brain injury. It actually affects only the right side of my body. Now, you would never be able to notice it, if I didn't tell you, but it does affect me with my movements. If I'm eating not eating healthy and, just, not getting good sleep or taking care of myself, then it affects the right side of my body. And, so that's the only thing now that really affects me is my traumatic brain injury, which it must have affected that part of my brain where it affects the movement on the right side of my body a little bit.
And you also, your faith journey then, you said senior Bible camp was your awakening, I guess I'd call it. And what developed from there to get you to where you are now? Because I understand, don't you do speaking engagements and you wrote a book? And I mean, can you just kind of describe some of the things you're doing and a little bit of how you got there?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's been kind of just trusting that God has a plan for me. I never really knew what his plan was for me from all the things that I had been through. And I always knew that my story touched a lot of lives. Like every time I told it at like Bible camp or just to people that were like strangers, it would affect them. And then I'm like, whoa, I never really thought that it would be that inspiring because it's my own story. I know the story so well. But it's, along the way, it's just been a gradual journey where things will fall into place for me, and they'll just work out. Where the speaking, it just came natural. Where I was not a good speaker, though. I had a really bad like speech impediment growing up, so stuttering was a big thing for me, and so speaking in front of people was something that I would never do. But now, I mean, God inspired me to share it, and so that's actually my job, or I would say part of it is speaking to schools or churches around the country. So
we have a few pictures of you too at some of your speaking events. So you've obviously gotten over any kind of shyness or speech impediments. You do a lot of speaking, right? Yeah.
I mean, that's like I would say my main job. I do a little bit of things otherwise on the side, but I would say that's like my passion is to share my story and share the gospel. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it's kind of taken over my life, where this is what I want to do. This is what really gives me joy and completeness in life is kind of doing things like this also, where I can share my story on your show. I mean, just simply sharing what God has done for me is so fun for me.
And anybody watching, if you want to go to Ben's website, it's benhylden.com.
Yep.
benhylden.com, and Hylden is Ben, Hylden. It's at the bottom of the screen there. And you have videos and photos, and you can see how to order his book. And if you're interested in having him come out to speak, we all need a little inspiration, right?
Yeah. And I would say, especially right now where we're at in this, it's after the pandemic, or it's been a tough go for a lot of people, so I know I have a bunch already scheduled. I didn't have work for about around a year and some, so it's going to be a lot of fun getting out there again and sharing the gospel, sharing my story, and I guess just doing what God has saved me to do.
Ben, do you normally just go into churches then, or are you going to public events? Are you getting invited to those, or what kind of people or organizations are contacting you?
Really, everything, honestly. I mean, I've spoken really at whether it's schools. I would say the majority are churches, but I've spoken at many schools, businesses, organizations. They'll have like breakfasts for their company. Like this year, I'm speaking at a breakfast in Bismarck for a company. But yeah, I mean, that's really anything. I guess just something where they want a uplifting, inspirational message, and I heard about my story, and they would contact me, and I would just go. So it's really anybody, and that's actually I would say the beauty of it is that really it can fit anywhere. Where it's just a story of survival and faith.
And just the journey to get to where you're at now, that of faith is a big part of it. But like you said, some days you just didn't even want to go on because of all the work it took to the recovery and the rehab. That was part of the process, and it's part of who you are today, right?
Oh, big time. Yeah. I mean, it has shaped my mind. I mean, it's something that changes you so slowly. You don't change all in an instant. I mean, it's taken years to be where I'm at today, to have the faith that I have, to have the joy that I have, the contentment that I have, just being who I am. I love being me and doing what I'm doing. And I've never had this type of contentment or joy ever before. But I would say all the rehab, which I still do, I do rehab for my brain actually on a daily basis, just to make sure my mind is sharp and things like that. But I mean, it's definitely taught me a lot about life, and just helps me see the bigger picture of what's, truly important in life.
Ben, I can't help but think about, we hear such a high suicide rate now in our younger kids and whatnot, and we have less than a minute, but I'm thinking when you do go to do these speaking engagements, how many times you wind up touching kids that may have been thinking like you were, and when they hear that at 16, of everything you went through and the faith that you found, I would think that would be very powerful.
Yeah, I've honestly, every time I speak, it's I don't know what to expect. I don't know who's there. I don't know what they've been through. But every time after I'm done, I get the same reaction where I'm blown away by how much it impacts people, because it's a raw, real story that they can relate to with people who have gone through things. So it's the best part of my job, definitely, is relating to people like that.
Thank you so much, Ben, for sharing your story with us and with our audience. And if you want to hear more about Ben's story, make sure you go to benhylden.com. There it is on the bottom part of the screen. Thank you, and thank you for joining us, and we'll be right back with Ladies of Another.
All right, thank you, guys.
I'm back.
Respect, innovation, trust, and excellence. These core values can be seen in every building built by Straightway Construction. In the community for over 15 years, Straightway Construction has become the premier construction company for commercial projects. From dirt to design and framing to finish, Straightway Construction is your #1 choice. You won't have to look far to find a project that has that Straightway touch. Call them today or go online to straightwayconstruction.com and let them make your vision a reality.
Deciding how to promote your business can be hard. Visit the professionals at Dakota Promotions and Printing and let them help you through your struggle. Dakota Promotions provides promotional items and apparel, from corporate gifts to team shirts and everything in between. With quick turnaround times and friendly service, they are your best choice. And best yet, you're shopping local. Visit them online at dakotapromo.com or stop in their showroom at 320 West Main in Mandan. Dakota Promotions, delivering promotions just for you.
Every great pizza has a secret. At New York To Go, that secret lies in our perfectly recreated New York water, the key ingredient to making our signature New York-style pizza. We also feature gyros, with the region's only gyro meat spit, plus Nathan's hot dogs, calzones, and our delicious jumbo buffalo wings. Try a 14-inch or our special giant 20-inch pizza tonight. You gotta know how to fold them if you want to hold them. New York To Go, we deliver for you.
Calling all farmers. Join us Friday, July 16th for Farmers Night at the Bismarck Bucks. The Bucks take on the Frisco Fighters with a 6:05 p.m. kickoff, and we'll highlight our friends at Farm Rescue as we help raise money to support our farmers around the region. For more information on tickets, please visit bismarckbucks.com. Get your free general admission tickets today.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Hey Bucks fans, if you're planning an outing, birthday, or employee appreciation night, then bring your group out to the Buck Stop for a night of fast-paced, high-scoring football. Your group will receive discounted tickets, options for reserved seating, scoreboard messages, VIP services, swag, and a space to gather during the game. You can also participate in pre-game ceremonies, halftime entertainment, in-game contests, and more. Call 701-595-0771 or visit bismarckbucks.com/tickets. All GA is first come, first serve. We'll see you on the turf. Go Bucks!
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Back. And I just loved Ben's story.
It's a good one. It's beautiful.
I love when somebody can go through hell and back and say, I would do it again. Because you're feeling like, oh my gosh, if I had a different way, I would take that way. Yeah.
Yeah, but God has a plan through all of it. And the way that he directs things is so masterful, and I can't pretend to know any better than he does. He's got it all worked out.
And it's amazing how it turns out. Now look at Ben, just giving his life over to inspiring others.
Love it.
Powerful message. Well, talking about how God works things out, for the lighter side today, we have just watch, and then we'll talk about it.
Michael, the Buchholz family had just put their 5-month-old down for the night when the weather started getting bad outside over the weekend. What happened next captured on camera. Tonight they're thanking a higher power that no one was hurt. You're watching 5-month-old Cannon Buchholz sleeping peacefully in his crib when Mother Nature wakes him up with a loud crash. Rafters slammed into his crib, insulation rained down from the roof on the baby in his crib below.
Oh my God, Kale! Where's Kale? Oh my God.
His mom and dad, Courtney and Cale Buchholz, rush in the room and scoop the baby to safety.
She thought the window in my little boy's room had broken, and when we rounded the corner in the hallway, we could see the tree in the hall.
Daylight exposing the true extent of the damage, gaping large holes in their roof from a massive tree with a 4-foot trunk that sliced the house in half. 5-month-old Cannon Buchholz still happy as ever as his dad clutched him in his arms Monday.
That was the biggest thing, is just getting him out and making sure he was safe. And then, all the materialistic things can be replaced.
As they look back at the video that's hard to watch, they're thankful, despite the extensive damage to their home, that Mother Nature spared their little bundle of joy.
It makes you realize that, a house is just a house. It can be replaced. Family, my little boy that's all I was worried about for the first 2 days.
I'm not sure why I picked that for the lighter side. It's kind of an oh wow thing, not necessarily. Well, it's lighter.
This is also why Neil doesn't want any trees anywhere near any house. No trees by houses. And we live in the Cathedral District. There's trees everywhere. No.
That reminds me, I didn't think about it till just now. We were camping. We had a tent trailer set up at Fort Lincoln Park, and there was a big storm coming, and we were there with friends. We went into the tent trailer. Some of these North Dakota storms, you think you're going to be Dorothy and go up in the house or something. So it was horrible, and I yelled to Mark, get in the van. I just thought this is going to be safer in the van, and he goes, no, it's going to be safer in the tent trailer. And then all of a sudden he said, get in the van, everybody, which never happens. If you know Mark, he's not going to turn on a dime and change his mind. Maybe after a few days I might be able to get him to change his mind, but not turn on a dime like that. And I remember thinking, whoa, he listened to me. Within minutes, a tree crashed down on our tent trailer. I have a picture of it. I have a picture of it. I'm going to bring it in a future show. And I didn't think about it till just now. Had we not gotten out of that tent trailer, some of us would not have made it. No way, because it smashed down on our tent trailer. Speaking of trees.
Those near misses, man. Near misses.
Well, that's what Mark said, is that when I said, I think the van is going to be safer, he remembered looking at a tree that was kind of rotting out before we went in, when we were just sitting around before the storm hit.
No,
and Neil doesn't like trees.
He doesn't. And we've seen similar things happen even in town. There was a neighbor right across the street that had a tree collapse, but the roof did hold the tree up. So they took out quite the chunk of ceiling on that one. That's pretty.
And the brick.
Major, yes. Even the brick, goodness.
Yeah. How it split it. I mean, you split bricks with a
Yes.
tree. It's kind of like when there's a tornado go through and you see a blade of grass that's through a fence post. I mean, we saw that one time where somehow that blade of grass had enough power behind it that it pierced a fence post, a wood fence post, and went through it.
Force on a very small space. That like the guy that does the card ninja thing. He's got a deck of playing cards and he can toss a card so fast that it slices into a metal can. It's incredible, but it's that force applied to a very, very small area.
That is amazing, though.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't do it. I mean, maybe I could. I don't have the skill today to do it.
I would like to see the science behind it, like something in slow motion. I guess it's probably never been captured before where that
I'm sure it
grass.
has.
Maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe we should try it. You know what?
Okay, let's look.
We've got slow-mo on our camera, so we could find a way to try out to
Get
a
some
slow-mo.
hurricane force winds and
Or a guy throwing cards.
or flying cards. Yeah, let's just start with the cards. Forget
Maybe
the
we'll
grass.
get flying cards before we get flying grass blades.
Well, I kind of hope so, because that means we're in a tornado if we've got the flying
Yes, speaking of
grass.
tornado, I understand we could be getting some warnings.
We are under enhanced storm warnings, yes, out west.
And I'm going to be flying, so please, tornadoes, stay away. I'm going to go visit my 95-year-old dad in Michigan, so I'll be gone for the week, and everybody else will be holding up the ship and keeping things interesting.
Yes, we will.
And I'll be back the next week all fresh with new topics.
Well-
But Andre's got to find that ninja turtle, or the ninja card
the
thrower.
ninja card thrower.
Yeah.
That'll be a lighter side when you get back.
There
right?
we go.
Okay. So we'll look forward to it. And thank you for joining us today. Coming up next is Down the Road with Joel Heitkamp. And we'll see you tomorrow with Ladies of Another View on Beck.